Hello and welcome to another video with your host Scott. In this video I'm going to show you how to make a little gadget that I've came up with to help me with my fly fishing, mainly because I've been quite disappointed with these devices here. This is basically a fly fishing multi-tool. You use this to nip your monofilament. This is a hook sharpener. This helps you tie various knots. And then this device here is what I'm referring to, is an eye needle. Now this is used to remove the varnish from the eye of a hook, or you can use it to untangle your leader if there's a few knots in it. So what I've found with these devices is I've actually spent more than £10 on one, and the needle didn't last very long. It's made from a very soft steel. They either snap off, go blunt, they bend, or they're just too thick to start with, to the point where you can't actually get them through the eye of the hook anyway. So I wanted to come up with something different, and I had an idea involving a ballpoint pen. Now this was one of the first ones I built. The pen's obviously been shortened considerably, and then I've mounted a needle in the end that's retractable, and then I use these zingers. They're very cheap, they're £1 each. In fact, you get two for £1.99, and they're great, and they hook onto your waistcoat. And then I add these split rings, and that's what I mount all of my my tools on my waistcoat with. I've spent a lot of money on those as well, £4 or £5 at a time. They've lasted a few sessions. The wire either breaks or pulls through, or gets in such a tangle that you can't untangle it, or it doesn't retract fully. So I've been quite disappointed with a lot of various fly fishing accessories of late, to the point where I'm basically forced to build my own, and that's where we are today. So to build this retractable eye needle, we're going to need a few things. You can use a zinger of your choice, that's up to you. I'm going to be using one of those, and it's pretty simple mounting it on there, and I'll go into how to do that once it's been built. We're going to need a specific brand of pen, because I haven't been able to find another pen that will do the job. This one is called the Papermate Flexi Grip Ultra 1.0, and you get two of these in a pack for £2 from Poundland, and it's just a basic ballpoint pen. But what makes this different is that it's able to be dismantled at both this end, where the mechanism is, and at the nib end, where the spring is. And you can take out this part, which is the important part that you need to build the device. So I've already done the dirty work. The hard part about making this device is getting rid of this ink, because you don't want it going all over your jacket. Getting the nib out of there is easy. You just use a pair of forceps and you pull it off. Using a pair of forceps, just give it a few twists and it'll come off. Getting rid of the ink is different, however. You're going to need some of this. This is pure acetone. You need to ask a pharmacist or a dispenser or pharmacy technician to find you some of that, because it's very difficult to get hold of unless you order it in bulk. And then what I've done is I've got one of these long needles here, and I've pushed it through, and it just pushes all the ink out. And I suggest you do it over an old sink, or a sink that can be easily cleaned, such as a stainless steel one, or in an area where you're not bothered where the ink goes. That'll push most of the ink out, and then what you want to do is get a little bit of the acetone and pull the needle in and out several times to flush the inside of the tube out with the acetone, and get rid of as much of the ink as possible. so that you're left with this, a perfectly clean tube with the device that catches the spring intact. You're also going to need a needle. You can use any needle you like. I'm going to actually make this one with quite a fine needle. These are the finest needles I've got, and I use these for my dubbing needles as well. So we'll just move a few things out of the way and we shall get started. So what you want to do, obviously, you're probably going to need to leave one of the pens intact to make a few measurements. The easiest way to do it is to make it full length, and if you want to make it full length, that's completely up to you. You don't have to do you don't have to do most of the work then that's required to build this thing. So you're going to need to measure the amount that this ink cartridge is exposed from the back of the pen. Now I found in most cases it's about 45 to 46 millimeters, depending on how it's sitting in there. So we're going to call it 45 mil, and make a note of that. I'm going to leave this one intact because I've got one here all ready to go. This is the one that I've already taken this part out, taken the nib out and so on. So we're going to remove the mechanisms from both ends. Keep the spring's done a runner already. Keep the spring handy, you don't want to be losing that, that's very important. And then using the ink cartridge that is intact, you can roughly get a length of the needle that you need. If you place it alongside like so, and then get your needle and put it in. So it's the same length as the nib, and that's what we're looking for there really. So once you've got it sort of lined up how you want it, you're going to take the needle back out again, and I would recommend that you use a super glue gel to do this part. This one I use is called Strong as an Ox, and it's really good glue. I use this for a lot of things, not just in fly tying. And you're going to put a liberal amount of glue on the needle. You need quite a lot of it. And then you're going to put it into your tube. Like so. Then you're going to offer it up to the other nib. And there we are, that's probably about right now. Yeah, and then we're going to leave that to dry for a minute. Out of the way. Now you're going to want to cut your tube down if you don't want it to be full length. As it is now, you can put it straight back in and it would work. But I like to do mine slightly shorter. So to cut down your tube, these have conveniently already got lines marked in. Now I normally go for the last one here and cut it there. You need to remember which end's got the thread. This end's also got thread for the mechanism, but don't worry about that. I'll tell you how to get over that in just a minute. So we're going to try and do as neat a cut as possible here, all the way around. With a Stanley knife. And there we are. Now that's waste, you can get rid of that. You might actually be able to make another one out of that if you've got another silver part, the nib part there. Now we're just going to check how clean this is. Now to get this to fit back in, sometimes it will just go straight in, and you can actually sort of screw it back on if you want, but this, I don't think this one's going to go in. So you're going to have to remove the threads, not all of the thread, just a few, just in a few strategic places, and use your Stanley knife to do that as well. We're going to offer it up again, see if it goes on. There we go, it's gone on. We're going to get some more glue. Put a thinnish layer all the way around. Just leave that for a minute. I'm going to put our nib back in. Now this should have had enough time. We're going to measure 45mm from the back of the pen, or what's left of the pen. Let's make a mark there and then come in and cut it properly. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to mount this on here. Just twist it around, spread the glue a bit, and then just whack it on. There you are, that's your shortened pen. Take this off. And there you go, that's perfect. It's fully sheathed when it's all the way back, and there's enough needle exposed when it's fully engaged, so I'm happy with that. So we're just going to leave that to one side to dry again, and I want to go over how to mount it onto your split ring. On the pen there's a section just above the clip that's quite thin. You want to drill a little hole through there, and then you can put your split ring on, and there we go, and that's what you'll end up with, a retractable eye needle. And there we go. Thank you all very much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and let me know how you get on with these gadgets, and if you've got any other ideas, come back to me with them and I'll see if I can build them. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.